What's up, YouTube? It's me, Arthur, aka That Indie Comic Book Guy. Originally, I was going to make a video about X-Men Inferno. And I started watching some reviews about that X-Men Inferno because I want to see if I can really bring something different, a different take on the comic that no one else, has covered. So while going down that rabbit hole, I watched a video by Comivs By Perch, and he was reviewing the comic, and he got to the subject of the character Bishop, who got appointed, basically, the overall... He got on the subject of the character Bishop, who got appointed the head general in charge of Krakoa's military. Cyclops stepped down because he wants to run the X-Men team, so he appointed Bishop as his replacement, which is cool. A lot of videos, they pointed this out when they reviewed the comic. But Comivs By Perch is the only person that I saw point out the fact that Bishop was black. First he said, oh, it was great that they made a black character a general. Then he went on to say, and I quote,
"It's about time we had a general who is black and has a completely red costume, which people who are soldiers or some kind of space sci-fi type odyssey who wear red clothes and are black have a 100% survival rate on their adventures."
wow. Now, I get he was trying to be funny. I did not find this funny. He was trying to do a Star Trek reference. I didn't find that funny either. I did not find that funny. Then again, I don't find racist jokes funny. It's not something that I laugh at. And I know some people are like, well, everybody's laughed at a racist joke at least once in their life. Maybe they have. Me at 45 years old, I don't find racist jokes funny. I just don't. I just don't. And I was going to ignore this. I was going to ignore this because I've heard it before. Being black and being in this nerd space, you hear these things a lot. I remember when Falcon became Captain America in the comics. Oh, the Twitter fingers, they were going. There was so much racism. There was so much hate being projected at this fictional character. It was crazy. It was crazy. And it seems like if you are a writer for Marvel or DC, I'll look at David Walker. It's a perfect example. They want you to write the black character. You got to write Luke Cage. You got to write Cyborg. You got to write the black character who the company's not going to promote their book. Remember when Cyborg book was out? People thought it was canceled. There was no promotion. No promotion. Here's a character who has ties to the Justice League, Teen Titan, every corner of the DC universe. But they did not promote his book. They didn't. They did not promote it. It don't even matter if the book was good or bad, because there are a lot of bad books that were heavily promoted, that are still heavily promoted today. They just traditionally don't promote books by people of color or featuring people of color as the lead. They don't really promote them a lot. And then people are like, well, that's why they're not selling. Of course, that's why they're not selling. They're not being promoted. You have to market and promote things in order for them to sell. And if you don't believe me...
History lesson. Dr. Pepper. Everybody knows what Dr. Pepper is. Worldwide soda, brand, whatever you want to call it. Years ago, one of their CEOs decided, you know what? Dr. Pepper's a household name. We don't need to promote it. So for a year, Dr. Pepper did not promote. No marketing, nothing. Dr. Pepper lost $80 million because they did not promote the soda. They did not promote it.
Here you have a household name, a household brand, that they were like, nah, everybody knows who we are. We don't need to promote. And it cost the company $80 million. So marketing and promotion, very vital for any type of business. I don't care if you're a soda, I don't care if you're a comic book. You need to promote these products. So that's what happens with a lot of these books written by black creators or featuring black characters. They're not promoted, so they end up being canceled. And unless it's a character that, like Daredevil, who's not black, I know, or She-Hulk, or even Wonder Woman, who their books aren't really big sellers, but they want to maintain copyright and trademarks, so they keep these books around. Now, as for the rest, they'll bring them out every now and then for trademark copyright sake, but for the most part, some of these books that are low-hanging fruit that you see constantly have a series, it's strictly a matter of protecting that copyright and trademark. Now, I thought, I was done with this whole Comivs By Perch thing. I was done. Then he made another video about whitewashing. And he ended the video saying it was stupid and, people should ignore it. I don't think and this isn't an attack on him personally, it's just sometimes people just aren't aware. They're not aware of the things that they're saying. They're not aware that they're not the person that should be talking about this subject. They're not the person qualified to talk about certain things. Like, I'm a man. I'm not going to talk about women's issues. I'm not qualified for that. I'm not Jewish. I am not qualified to talk about things related to the Jewish community. I'm not. So, when I do see
someone who is not a person of color talk about whitewashing and end the video saying that it's stupid and people should ignore it, I have issues with that.
because, one, again, you're not the person that's qualified to talk about this subject. Historically, the whitewashing of history. Let's go back to Egypt. And we start talking about the whitewashing of history, how there was a systematic effort to deface the Sphinx. Not only that, to pretty much erase certain African features from certain historical figures. This is all facts. Let's look at the slave trade and how African history was lost. Religions, cultures, all of it gone. Let's look at the Catholic Church and the Crusades. In part, the Crusades were done to wipe out a lot of history, not just African history, but, it's kind of like, hey, you know what? This is what we want you to believe in. Everything else is getting destroyed. In anime, a lot of people have had issues with how, even though a lot of animes produced by Asian cultures, there was this whole whitewashing of the characters to make them look white. For years in comic books, all the people of color, don't matter if they were black or they were Islamic, they all had a certain skin tone. One skin tone. And now, case in point, let's look at Storm, for example, since people love to point out Storm. Her skin color fluctuates like a mofo. I remember for a period, she was depicted as this light-skinned character, and traditionally she's dark-skinned, like me. Remember that X-Men movie? I forgot which one. Not the one with Halle Berry. Well, even that one. You had a light-skinned Storm. The one after that, light-skinned Storm. Why is this important? Because we as a people of color, yes, we like to see ourselves, but we like to see ourselves the way that we are meant to be seen. Now, if historically Storm was a light-skinned character, cool. But historically, she's been a person of a darker pigment. That's very important to young black girls growing up who don't see that many images of people that look like them. Hollywood loves to go get the light-skinned black girl or the biracial girl and have her represent all black women. So when I hear someone like Perch say that, oh, whitewashing, let's just ignore it. He's not qualified to say that. Am I saying he's racist? No. It's not my place to say. But what I can say is he's not qualified to speak on that subject. And as far as his comment about Bishop, it did not need to be said. Pointing out, oh, this character is race every 5 seconds? Why? Who does that serve? No one. No one. And I'm a person that generally enjoy a lot of his content. I do. I do. But being black, when you grow up, you're in this weird world of you don't quite fit in with so-called black people. You don't fit in with so-called white people. So you're in this weird limbo of, hey, I'm black. I like this nerdy stuff. But the people where I'm from, they don't understand it. They don't like it. They're not into it. And these other kids who are into it, they don't accept me because of my skin color. So what happens is you get a couple different kind of black nerds, quote unquote. You get the ones that they're like, you know what? F black people, I'm all in. They'll just surround themselves with all white people and they just ignore the fact that they're black. They'll ignore the racist jokes and all that just because they want to fit in.